Deputy Paul Murphy and Deputy Breach Smith, you're sharing 8 minutes.
5 and 3.
5 for you.
Thanks. Mass movements are very powerful things. You see the impact of the huge demonstrations, of the 73% non-payment reflected in the chamber today. You see it in the hokey-cokey of Fianna Fáil, for water charges, for suspension, for abolition, for suspension again, for abolition again, but going to vote against abolition. And the bluster from Fianna Fáil today actually didn't address that basic contradiction that people will see through. You can also see it in Sinn Féin's position. 2 years ago, it wasn't a red line issue. Then it was a red line issue, but leading TDs were paying. Then they were not paying, but not calling for non-payment. And then I welcome that at the last demonstration, the Sinn Féin speaker did seem to call for non-payment. Obviously, there's no bills now, but those changes are welcome. And they reflect the fact that movements drive change. And it's precisely for that reason that movements strike fear into the 1% and the political establishment. It's not just that we've had a mass movement of civil disobedience against water charges. We've had a successful mass movement of civil disobedience against water charges, because it shows that the 1% can be beaten and it gives people confidence. That fear is the reason for the political policing and the repression that we've seen to cut across the right of people to protest, to say to people, this far and no further. Over 200 people have been arrested for anti-water meter protests. 4 people were jailed for 3 weeks for going within 20 metres of water meter installation. A spying operation against anti-water charges activists was ran, called Operation Mizzen, led by the Garda Commissioner's husband. But right now, there is the most serious attack on the right to protest yet. A vindictive prosecution of a 17-year-old young man over the protest in Jobestown 2 years ago. An attempt to redefine peaceful protest as false imprisonment. And let's be clear, there is no allegation whatsoever of violence against him. There are no public order charges levelled against him. He is only charged with false imprisonment. The allegations against him...
Deputy John O'Sullivan, I asked the other members without interruption.
There is a separation. This is a matter before the courts, Cathaoirleach. I think you need to be aware of that.
I won't be speaking about anything that isn't reported in the media. I will. To you. The allegations against him, as reported in the media, are the following: that he may have said into a megaphone at one stage, "Joni in your ivory tower, this is called people power." That he walked around. That he sat down and encouraged others to sit down. That he waved his arms.
Deputy Murphy, would you please...
I will, of course. That he filmed Joan Burton and said, "Talk to us, Joan."
Please.
That's it. He was protesting, not kidnapping.
You are now going out of the bounds.
I'm not. I'm speaking about the water charges protest.
I'm saying to you now, I will ask you to resume your seat and I will call on Deputy Breach.
No, I'm not going to resume my seat. What's being attempted here was described by the barrister yesterday as a recipe for totalitarianism.
I am asking you to respect. I'm asking you to respect.
I'm not going beyond the bounds. We're clearly talking about the water charges here. We're talking the mass movement against water charges and the vindictive prosecution of a 17-year-old young man for exercising his right to protest. This is absolutely in order. Deputy Cowan spent his time talking about the programme for government, about how they had to form a government, nothing to do with water charges. I'm going to continue to speak.
I'm telling you now to resume your seat. Well, I'm calling you for the last time to resume your seat if you're not going to stick to the debate, or else I'll suspend the House.
I'm going to stick to the debate here.
OK, well then stick with the debate, or else I'm going to call Deputy Murphy or Deputy Smith.
So, what is happening, in my opinion, as a result of the massive movement against water charges is an attempt to criminalise protest. Right? If sitting down, in general terms, if slow marching is false imprisonment, well then, so too, guilty of false imprisonment are striking workers who stop strike-breaking vehicles. So too are anti-war protesters who stage a sit-down protest. So too are pro-choice protesters who have a slow march. It is, as a barrister said yesterday, a recipe for totalitarianism. I just finished. The young man in question, he had someone give a moving speech for him a couple of weeks ago, and he finished with a quote from Martin Luther King: "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere." Well, injustice against anyone is a threat to justice for everyone. People need to take a stand against it.